up, guys, and welcome back to another Talk with Two Scoops. It's been a minute, but today we're going to be talking about You Season 3. I just finished it up. I know it's been out for a while, but I watched it with my girlfriend, and we have very different work schedules, so we had to watch it when we had the time and when we weren't exhausted from work. So we basically did like 2 episodes a day and stretched it since the season premiered on Netflix. But anyway, we just finished it a couple of days ago, and I have some thoughts, and I'm sure you guys have some thoughts, so we're going to get right into it. Before, however, I get into it, I'm going to let you know that this is going to be a spoiler talk, and I'm just going to get right into it. Also, this is not going to be a linear review. I might miss some details. I did not write a script. Okay, so You Season 3 picks up pretty much immediately where Season 2 left us off, which is Joe and Love move into this neighborhood, California. What is it called? One second.
Few moments later.
Okay, so Joe and Love start their new lives in a suburban town in California called Madre Linda, and they have their new child, and they're trying their best to fit in and be normal, but it's Love and Joe, so you know something's gonna happen. And right off the bat, we notice that there's something different about Joe. He's already, from the end of season 2, we saw that he was fixated on the neighbor, but the twist here is he's actually trying not to act on it. He's trying to avoid his normal impulses to start following this lady and planning out in his head how they should be together. He's actually gonna try to be a good father and a good husband. And I have to say, for the duration of this show, Joe actually is able to somewhat control his urges to be a creep. From what we've seen in the first season and the second season, Joe is usually unhinged when he finds himself fixated on a woman, but because he wants to be a good father and he wants to be a good husband, he's trying to make his marriage work, and he's trying to be different this time. But we know that he isn't going to be able to, because now there's Love, who isn't as motivated to let go of that side of herself. And so immediately, I want to say in the first episode, she has already killed her first victim, which is the neighbor. And that was a twist for me, because I didn't think that that would happen. What I thought was going to happen from where we left off in season 2 was that it was going to be a repeat of the same cycle, that Joe was going to be fixated on this woman and that he was going to be stalking her, and they probably end up having sex or whatever, and that would kind of be the story. I thought this whole season was going to be Joe pursuing this lady and them eventually having some type of relationship. And I did think that Love was going to kill her, or that he was going to kill her, or something was going to happen. But I didn't expect her to die in that first episode. So it kind of left me with the same feeling when I watched Avengers Endgame for the first time. Because after the events of Infinity War, and when they went to find Thanos, I thought that was going to be that movie, was them searching for Thanos so that they can get the gauntlet and then they could reverse what he did. So when they killed Thanos within like the first 15 minutes of that movie, I was like, well, where do we go from here? And that's exactly what I felt when Love killed this lady. I'm like, okay, well, where does the show go from here? Little did I know they were going to have more bodies this season than I think any season previously. And if I'm wrong, I haven't done a count. I haven't revisited those past seasons. I didn't even really count the amount of bodies that they had this season. I know that it was a lot. But even if it doesn't exceed previous seasons, it definitely is far more quick in the way that they are catching these bodies. And another surprise is that Joe isn't the one catching the bodies most of the time. It's Love. Love is nuts. We thought Joe was nuts. No, Love is nuts. I mean, they're both nuts. They're nutty. But the difference is Joe in his head rationalizes why he kills people. And that's not to say that it's better, because he's still sick. He still is a bad person. And in reality, they both need to be in jail. But the difference is Love is much more impulsive than Joe ever was. Joe the show always did a somewhat decent job of showing the progression of Joe. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes he did just go in for the kill, but a lot of times it seemed like Joe tried not to kill, and it was only like when he would snap if somebody's like pushing him around or something, or he felt like his back was against the wall, he would kill. But Love just whenever she gets mad or she doesn't like someone, it's just over for you. So moving forward, there are more neighbors in this town. First of all, it's a suburban town, so it has all of the cliches. I don't know. I've never lived in suburbia, so I don't know how realistic these people are, but everybody is fake. And that's how it appears to be in every movie and every movie or every show that depicts small suburban town life is just filled with narcissistic fake people. And of course, Love, in an effort to fit in, befriends one of the fakest of them all, whose name is escaping me. One second.
Few moments later. One eternity later.
Negative 100%. Fun fact, Love. No. You season 3 has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Wait a minute. I don't remember how to. Does that mean it's bad or? I think that's good. Wait a minute. Love. Oh, that's because I typed in love. So what is wrong with me? It's called You. What is love? Sherry. Her name is Sherry. And her husband's name is Carrie. So Sherry and Carrie. Why is that my first time realizing that? But anyway, Love befriends Sherry, one of the fakest of them all, in an effort to fit into this suburban town in Madrelenda. And for the most part, at some point, it seems that they do start to develop a genuine friendship, but it's still based on like, what can I get from you? What can you get from me? How do we survive this? But anyway, moving forward, Joe. Yeah, so Joe is trying to be pretty normal. He ends up helping Love clean up the mess that she started by killing the neighbor. It took a lot more for them to cover this murder up because this is such a tightly knitted town, and Joe has the secret place in the woods where he's probably buried other people, and so he and Love go there to bury the body, only to find out later that pretty much everyone in this town has rings on their fingers that monitor like their blood pressure and their heart rate and their pulse and all of this stuff. And so now they're like, crap, we got to go dig this body up because they're going to be able to track her because the rings also have GPS. So they go back, they dig the body up, Joe takes the ring off, and they have this idea like, oh, we're going to put the ring in this rest stop area so that it looks like she came and she took the ring off, and we leave her car here, and all of that. So they do the best that they can to cover the murder up, and afterwards I think they end up moving the body because they find out, or they know that there's gonna be a search party now, so they move the body to another area where they're getting ready to put like a cement slab down, and they're like, once they put that cement down, then they're never gonna find that body. And they would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling kids. No, but seriously, what happens is, oh, okay. So what made it harder for them to kind of get rid of this body and be done with it is that the husband was starting to get suspicious. Meanwhile, Joe has found a job at a nearby library and has become fixated with the head librarian, his boss. And now because he's so disgusted with Love and the fact that she's still killing people, like he hasn't killed dozens of people, in his mind, he's decided he and Love aren't going to work out and that he's better off with this librarian lady. So now he's trying to figure out how to push Love out of the picture so that he and Marianne, the librarian, can be together. Okay, so now that we got all of that out of the way, I just want to talk about the season in general and how I felt about it. So, overall, I really enjoyed this season. I won't say that I was on the edge of my seat, but I was very much interested in Joe and Love's dynamic and how everything was going to play out. There was a lot going on this season, far more than the last two seasons. Much more to juggle, more characters to deal with, and more story and plot points to kind of get through. I want to say that one of the positives of this season is I did enjoy watching Joe and Love's relationship develop and seeing them go to couples counseling and seeing them bounce off of each other, and I thought it was hilarious how disgusted Joe was with Love and the fact that she was killing, and that's like, you've been killing for years. Who knows how many people you've killed before the start of season one? Like, his first murder, he was a kid. We know that there were more murders before he ever met Gwen in the first season. What, that was her name, right? Guinevere Beck or something. Yeah. And so the fact that he's so disgusted with Love is hilarious. But I also found it interesting that Joe was trying so hard to be different. Now, in reality, he still needs to go to jail, but because this is a show and they, in a way, write Joe to where you want to root for him. And I don't think it's anything wrong with you if you find yourself like hoping that Joe gets away, because it's a show. It's not intended to be, it's not real life. So I don't have a problem admitting that I like Joe and I know for a fact that it's wrong the things that he's doing, but he is the main protagonist of the show. And for that reason, you find yourself, or at least I think most people find themselves rooting for him, even though in the back of your mind you're like, okay, he needs to go down. Because that's what I was thinking this whole season. I was like, I don't know how this season can end without Love and Joe going to jail. And they need to. They are sick. So that was interesting, seeing the dynamic in the relationship between Joe and Love. I also like the fact that this season actually showed us some of the repercussions of murdering people. Like in past seasons, we never really saw repercussions of what happens when you murder somebody. There's search parties, people get suspicious, people start trying to figure out what's really going on. Everybody doesn't immediately buy the cover-up stories that Joe and Love hand to them, which I think in the last two seasons was pretty rare for somebody to really question. Or maybe there was one person who questioned the story that was given, but this time it's more people who are starting to question what's going on. I think for that baby to have been Love's saving grace towards the end of season 2, the baby doesn't have a whole lot to do with the plot. There's like one major plot point that the baby is a part of, but other than that, the baby is kind of just there. And honestly, a few times I found myself thinking, where is the kid? Or like they would mention the baby, and I'm like, yeah, but where is he? What? Like, where is the baby? Where is the baby? But yeah, so that was strange to me that they made it seem like the baby was going to be a larger plot point, and it does at the end of the season. You know, we see what happens to the child, but for the main chunk of this season, the baby doesn't have a whole lot to do with the story. Most of the story is just almost a Mr. and Mrs. Smith type of relationship between Joe and Love, like who is gonna get who. One of them is gonna kill the other, and you're just trying to figure out who is gonna be. I didn't know if there was gonna be a season 4. I didn't think the chances of Joe being killed were very high, but I thought if there isn't a season 4, if this is the last season that we get of this show, maybe Joe does. Than anything, I thought them actually getting caught and going to prison was one of the ways that this season could end. The other is that Joe or Love kills the other. But there are, like I say, a lot more characters to juggle in this season, and so I feel like we don't get a whole lot of time with Love and Joe. And I don't know that the show suffers from it, but it is a lot going on. but I still enjoyed it. So I'm somewhere in the middle. Like, I enjoyed all that they were giving us, but maybe I would have enjoyed it a little bit more if the focus was, if it in general was just a little bit more focused and didn't try to tackle so many different stories. This season gives us a lot of flashbacks to Joe's childhood and kind of tries to make us sympathize with him. And maybe sympathy wasn't what they were going for. Maybe they just wanted to tell us why he is the way that he is, because I would like to think that they're not trying to justify why he's killing people or make us feel bad for him, because he's still a bad person, and regardless of what past traumas he's gone through, he needs to be stopped. And so I would hope that that wasn't the purpose for them giving us his backstory. But either way, we didn't really need it. Whenever they would show us a flashback of his childhood, I was ready for it to be over. They showed us, like, after the first couple shots of his childhood, I was like, okay, that's enough. I really don't need to keep seeing his relationship with this counselor, at this housing situation that he was sent to after he killed his mother's boyfriend. Like, I didn't need all of the Joe childhood background stuff. I really just wanted to stay focused on Joe and Love and how they were gonna maneuver in this new town with this new child. Where is the kid? Love's character changed a little bit in this season. In season 2, they built her up to be somebody who was impulsive, which she still is, but somebody who kills to protect. And in her head, she still is a person who kills to protect. But in reality, she kills for her own selfish needs. She's really jealous, and she makes up, or she justifies what she does, much like Joe, but almost on a higher level, because she almost can't see, or she can't see the hypocrisy in some of her doings. Like, she kills the neighbor because Joe hasn't even had sex with the lady. In her defense, she didn't know they hadn't had sex, but she kills the neighbor because she knows that her and Joe had something going on. But then she turns around and has an affair with this college student, and it's still upset when she thinks that Joe's attention is elsewhere, but she's actively involved with this kid. I mean, she tries to reject him a little bit, but she's thinking about him, she's texting him, she's fantasizing about him. So you start to see really how delusional she is. In a way, she's much worse than Joe, because she's much more impulsive. Joe thinks a lot more. He still has killed a lot of people, but he thinks a lot more before he does something. Love will kill somebody and not even have a idea of what she's gonna do next. And so what happens is, the show this season ends up almost in the beginning being a series of Love impulsively killing somebody and then looking to Joe like, okay, clean it up. Killed her, all right, get rid of the body. Killed him, okay, what are we gonna do? Like, and it's almost, you get annoyed for Joe because you're watching him honestly try to be a better person, and he keeps getting drugged back into this life because Love can't stop killing people. And so by the end of the series, you hope that Joe kills her, because otherwise, like Joe says, he's gonna be burying bodies until he's 70 because she can't control her impulses. That's what this season basically was Joe trying to clean up after Love and still having some of his normal Joe tendencies, getting fixated with different women. But for the most part, he's trying to figure out how to get away. But overall, I did enjoy this season. I think my favorite season is probably still 1, because it was the most grounded. It was, I think I preferred Joe alone and just trying to see him get out of these situations himself. because once you add love to the picture, you add somebody who's a bigger, badder, more threatening person, I guess, and it takes some of the light away from Joe. Not that he deserves any type of limelight; he's a murderer. But I mean, the show is mostly about him. Where is the kid? And they also run the risk of making Joe look more heroic because of how nuts love is. So for that reason, I think I prefer season one. But I have to say, I did enjoy this season. I watched the video, and this girl was saying like it was a hot mess and it was a far derail from what the book was. But I really don't care about that. The way I look at a show is if I watch it and I'm entertained, if you can make me laugh, if you can get some oohs, some ahs out of me, then that's fine, you know. So I do recommend this show. If you've watched the first two seasons, I think you're going to enjoy this season. I think there's a little bit more comedy, which I don't mind. You know, I don't always need it to be super serious. I do prefer the first season, but I think that this season was still strong. We know for a fact now that there's going to be a season 4, so I'm looking forward to that. And I just, I want to see what Joe does now that he's in Paris, because he goes to Paris in search of the librarian who he wanted to be with, who love almost killed. Yeah. So those are my thoughts on Love Season 3. If you like this video, hit that like button, hit that share button, subscribe. This channel is about to blow up. You want to be a part of that, and I will see you